Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Renee Abbas. I am the manager of the Laboratory Services Division at the TTBS, and I will be your moderator for the morning session. So welcome. I also welcome those who are joining us online. We're streaming both on YouTube and on Yahoo. So welcome to everyone. As we start, I will ask our safety officer to give us the safety brief. Thank you.
Okay, good morning again, everyone. My name is Aaron Dalloway. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, I am the safety officer for the Bureau. I'm going to be doing the safety briefing. So in the event of an emergency, an audible alarm will sound, or you will be so advised by one of our wardens. You're going to proceed in a brisk but orderly manner to our closest safe exit points. So as you can see, the exit points are both to the left and right of the base of this auditorium, and to the top, left and right also. On exiting the auditorium, you're going to follow the directional sign, to get out of the building. And from there, you're going to continue to our muster point. Our muster point is located in the employee car park on the southern end of the building. It's located next to the guard booth. You're going to remain there and await further instructions. Should you require medical attention during that time, our wardens are trained in first aid and CPR. They will be able to assist you. There's a few housekeeping rules for the venue, There is no eating and drinking in the auditorium. The restrooms are located across from the reception area that you would have seen while entering. When going across the floor, I ask that you use the row to the back of the cameras. This is to prevent tripping hazards at the front. Also, yesterday we had a few near misses with people going up the stairs, so we ask that you use due care when you're going up and down the stairs. Thank you and have a safe stay while at the Bureau.
Thank you very much, Aaron. It's my pleasure now to introduce Mr. Lawford Dupree, the chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards Board of Directors. Mr. Dupree is a chemical engineer, having graduated from the University of British Columbia in 1964. His varied and distinguished work history includes working with such companies as British West Indian Airlines, BWIA, Esso Canada, where he spent 11 years in Vancouver, Toronto, and Sarnia, Trintoc, Petrotrin, retiring from Petrotrin in 1998 as president and managing director. He also served as the executive director of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards from 2000 to 2004. He has served on several boards in both the public and private sectors, boards such as Petrotrin, ANSA Group, Lake Asphalt, where he was chairman, Panvesco, where he was chairman, the National Petroleum Marketing Company, where he was also chairman, and he is currently serving as the chairman of the LJ Williams and Company Limited Board. He has also served as chairman for the past 8 years, going on 3 terms, at the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards. I welcome Mr. Lawford Dupree.
Good morning, everybody. After hearing all of that, I think I should ask for a raise. Okay. The minister is going to be late this morning, so she asked that we proceed, and when she comes, she will call in line. So first, let me go through my salutations, which is members of the CROSQ Board of Directors, Mr. Derek Omar, who is the Chief Executive Officer of CROSQ, Mr. Vern Emanuel, St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, the Chairman of CROSQ, Elias Spindelman, who is the project coordinator, International Corporation in Latin America and the Caribbean. And he attached to the Physikalisch Technisch Bundesanstalt, PTB. Did I get that right? Kind of. Okay. I'll tell you a story about that afterwards. Annette Matbadal, consultant to the PTSB. Mr. Ulf Seiler, who is online. He's the head of the International Corporation with Latin America and the Caribbean, also attached to PTB. Mr. Johan Antonio Regalado, Holguin, Instituto Dominicano para la Calidad, INDOCAL. Mr. Lorenzo Ramirez, Director General, Instituto Dominicano para la Calidad, also online. Dr. Loris Edwards Brown, the CEO of the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority of Jamaica. Mr. Richard Taylor, Director, Knowledge Services, British Standards Institute. Mr. Cherry Ann Farquharson, Capacity Building and Gender Expert, representing on behalf of Dr. Fletcher for the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. Members of the TTBS Board of Directors, I don't think we have any here except me. Management and the staff of the TTBS, members of the media, especially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. So I have great pleasure this morning to welcome you here as we mark the successful conclusion of the Quality for Sustainable Energy in the Caribbean, Qsec. That's the Qsec project. This collaborative initiative is a game changer, not only for Trinidad and Tobago, but for the entire region. It helps to pave the way for the identification and implementation of solutions aimed at the efficient use of energy, whether by expanding or enhancing quality infrastructure services, or by providing a solid technical foundation for the use of energy-efficient devices and renewable energy technologies. In our role as a national standards body, the TTBS remains committed to engaging stakeholders and fulfilling our mandate under the Standards Act of 1997. As we all know, standards play a vital role in the development of the energy efficiency and renewable energy sectors, and the level of awareness around these issues has been steadily growing over the past 15 to 20 years. We've seen a notable increase worldwide in concerns about how electricity is generated, distributed, and consumed. And consumers themselves are becoming more discerning and wanting electrical products that are economical to operate, particularly so when faced with the rising cost of electricity. More than that, their concerns over the impacts that the traditional ways of generating electricity have on the environment. And this has sparked major policy changes and new investments in all developed and in many developing countries. These factors make it more important than ever for regional authorities, consumer protection agencies, importers, retailers, and consumers in general to play their part in supporting the objectives of the Qsec project. This project has been made possible through partnerships with the PTB, the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality, the Public Sector Investment Program, PSIP, and the Ministry of Planning and Development. This combined investment of approximately $500,000 TT dollars has led to the establishment of the Energy Efficiency Laboratory, a cutting-edge facility that positions Trinidad and Tobago as the regional center for excellence for testing energy efficiency in lighting products. This lab is a further testament to the government's commitment in developing and strengthening the national quality infrastructure as outlined in the National Quality Policy of 2018 to 2030. The Energy Efficiency Lighting Lab is not just a testing facility, it's a catalyst for change. It supports the implementation of regional testing and labeling standards for energy efficient appliances and lighting equipment, which will contribute to lower energy consumption. A common labeling standard will provide consumers with clear, uniform information, making it easier to make energy-efficient purchasing decisions. Consumer protection as a top priority. And the Energy Efficiency Lab plays a crucial role in ensuring that consumers have access to quality products whenever they choose to purchase these products. By testing lamps, which is CFLs and LEDs, to international standards and applying regional minimum energy performance standards, the lab is helping to level the playing field for retailers and importers, who often find themselves competing against inferior products that undercut their efforts to provide quality goods. So on behalf of the Bureau, I want to thank you all and all our stakeholders for the unwavering support of the project. Your contributions have been invaluable in helping us fulfill our mandate to achieve and advance quality for all in Trinidad and Tobago. I would like also to take a moment to express my gratitude, she's not here, to our line minister. This is the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Oh, she snuck in on me. Okay. Well, Minister, you know, we work very well together, and I want to express our gratitude for all the support that you've given us. Without your vision and dedication, I don't think this project would have been possible. How did you get here so fast? So thank you all for being here. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the morning. I just want to, before I close, because I had to pronounce these German words. Who's from Germany here? I'll tell you a little story of my troubles. I had to give a speech years ago in Bremen to a bunch of German contractors while I was the chairman of the Bureau of the Trinidad Lake Asphalt here. So I was told that these people didn't speak English. I had to speak to them in German. So fortunately for me, one of the guys working at Petro-Trin at the time, he had studied in Germany, and he said he could speak German. So I wrote out the speech in English. He translated it into German and gave it to me about 6 hours before I was to catch a plane to go away. Well, I couldn't pronounce any of the words because some of these words are this long. So I had to ask him to say the words phonetically, and I wrote it down in phonetics. Well, by the time I started my speech when I got there, I had no idea what I was talking about. I had no idea what I was saying. So I just kept, so after it was finished, I was sweating, you know. I asked the son of the agent that we had up there. I said, well, how did it go across, you know? So he took a while, he looked at me. He said it was cute. So with that, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dupree. That was a nice start to the activities for today. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome Senator the Honorable Paula Gopi-Schoon, who is the Minister of Trade and Industry. Senator the Honorable Paula Gopi-Schoon was reappointed Minister of Trade and Industry on August 19, 2020. She has been a member of Parliament since 2007 and previously served as Minister of Foreign Affairs. In her second term as Minister of Trade and Industry, she continues to build upon and expand programs initiated in the last 5 years in an effort to improve the export capacity of the local manufacturing sector and position Trinidad and Tobago as the business and trade hub of the Caribbean. She will also continue to lead the charge towards stimulating domestic and foreign investments while implementing policies to enhance the global competitiveness of Trinidad and Tobago. She believes in continuous stakeholder engagement to ensure participation in the growth and development of all sectors for a sustainable and vibrant economy. Her personal interests extend to the deepening of Caribbean integration, and she believes in and is committed to equal opportunities for personal growth, self-expression, and participation in the development process of Trinidad and Tobago for all citizens. I welcome the Senator, the Honorable Paula Gopi-Schoon, to deliver her address.
Thank you very much, and apologies for my lateness. Let me acknowledge Chairman and other members of the board of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, Chairman Lawford Dupree, who just spoke with you, Mr. Jose Trejo, the Executive Director of TTBS, Mr. Derek Omar, the Chief Executive Officer of the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality, and Mr. Vernie Manuel, the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards. He's the chairman of CROSQ, and other members of the CROSQ Board of Directors who may be here as well. Leah Spindelman, the project coordinator of International Cooperation in Latin America and the Caribbean, PTB. Other international partners and consultants that will get me out of trouble in terms of pronunciations, but I also welcome my colleague from Jamaica and colleagues from the UK, as well as Germany and so on, members of the media, very specially invited guests. Good morning to you all. And really, it's a pleasure to be here this morning to deliver a keynote address at today's Quality for Sustainable Energy in the Caribbean project closure event. And I especially want to thank the PTB for funding this very important initiative and CROSQ for their unwavering support in ensuring the success of the project. And we are pleased in Trinidad and Tobago to be part of this regional pilot, which aims to develop energy efficiency quality infrastructure services for select domestic appliances, specifically light bulbs, refrigerators, and air conditioning units. And the quality, let me speak a little bit about the achievements of the Qsec project. The Quality for Sustainable Energy in the Caribbean project has been very successful as it's helped to build the technical capacity of 2 regional testing laboratories in Trinidad and Tobago and in Jamaica. It's also piloted the energy efficiency labeling program in 5 CARICOM participating countries: Belize, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Dominican Republic. And also developed a regional model guide for the seamless functioning of an energy efficiency labeling program. I understand it also developed a regional database for the sharing of energy efficiency test results on the select appliances. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, in particular SDG 7, focuses on the use of affordable and clean energy through the development of innovative energy solutions. And therefore, the completion of this Qsec project contributes to the achievement of this SDG. This project is also aligned with a project which is being done in the Ministry of Trade and Industry in Trinidad and Tobago. That is with the Green Manufacturing Initiative, which will be launched in April 2024. The GMI, as we call it, will largely assist all small, medium, and large manufacturers in the non-energy sector with adopting or improving green manufacturing practices, including the use of energy-efficient products, decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, and also the recycling of waste materials and the production of eco-friendly packaging and biodegradable products. And as the government encourages the manufacturing sector to move towards green manufacturing processes, having the appropriate quality infrastructure in the form of testing laboratories and labeling standards will provide the support needed for their transition. According to the International Energy Agency in the Energy Efficiency 2021 report, there has been a notable global trend towards greater energy efficiency. And the report highlights that energy efficiency improvements play a significant role in reducing energy demand growth and consequently greenhouse gas emissions. Specifically, the IEA noted that global energy efficiency improvements contributed to reduced energy-related carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 10% over the past decade. This transition towards greater energy efficiency underscores CARICOM countries' commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, which mitigates the impact of harmful chlorofluorocarbons, better known as CFEs, on the environment. Based on these developments, the National Development Strategy, Vision 2030, Trinidad and Tobago's Vision 2030, and the National Environmental Policy 2018 prioritize energy conservation and efficiency as critical pillars in our development agenda. And these issues are also in congruence with Trinidad and Tobago's obligation under the Paris Agreement, which seeks to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions to safeguard the planet for future generations. The implementation of the regional database would facilitate the sharing of energy efficiency test results on select appliances and light bulbs, which will be generated out of the energy efficiency laboratories in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. And this would contribute to enhancing the quality infrastructure across the region, as those countries without the testing facilities can draw on the database for information. And as an embodiment of Trinidad and Tobago's commitment to promoting greater energy efficiency, this country invested more than $380,000 TT in partnership with PTB, CROSQ, and the Ministry of Planning and Development's Global Environment Fund project to outfit an energy efficiency laboratory in November 2022. And I had the pleasure to launch this laboratory, the first of its kind in our region, at the facilities of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards. And I'm aware that during day one of this event, both virtual and physical prep tours of the energy efficient laboratory were conducted. And this state-of-the-art laboratory, which we're proud of, positions Trinidad and Tobago as the first regional center of excellence for testing the energy efficiency of lighting products, and is a significant milestone for this country and the wider CARICOM region. The establishment of the Energy Efficiency Lab is another testament of this government's ongoing commitment to improving energy efficiency and strengthening our national energy policies and regulatory frameworks. Looking at the energy efficiency labeling program, this program involved testing of CFLs and LEDs against the energy efficiency labeling standards. And these tests were conducted at a newly launched Energy Efficiency Lab, which utilizes international and regional standards for testing performance and labeling requirements of lighting products. To date, TTBS has tested 22 batches of LED lighting samples and 2 batches of CFL lighting samples locally, and 4 batches of LEDs and 1 batch of CFLs from the region. And what is alarming is that after conducting labeling tests on some local CFL and LED samples, they failed to meet the standard, indicating a deficiency in labeling practices. Furthermore, the performance testing showed that LED samples failed to meet the requirements of the international standard. The CFL samples also produced similar results. And in the regional pilot in countries of Jamaica and Barbados, similar trends in testing outcomes were observed. In Jamaica, all tested LED and CFL samples failed to meet both labeling and performance standards. In Barbados, whilst there was an improvement in LED labeling compliance, with 50% passing, all LED samples failed performance testing. And these statistics are indicative of a need to implement rigorous quality control procedures to ensure greater adherence to international standards for lighting products. To overcome these challenges, concerted efforts are required to strengthen regulatory frameworks, enhance product testing and certification processes, and to foster greater collaboration among stakeholders to create a more resilient and sustainable energy environment in the region. In response, The Ministry of Trade and Industry, through the Bureau, intends to enforce the national standard for LEDs and CFLs with a new energy efficiency lab, testing all models of bulbs on sale in the local market for conformance. This will reduce the supply of substandard and non-conforming, non-compliant LED and CFL products on the market. So, ladies and gentlemen, we celebrate the closure of this very transformative project. And I wish to acknowledge the contributions of all stakeholders for their assistance, their insights, and their visionary leadership during its implementation from start to finish. And I especially recognize CROSQ, INDOCAL, PTB, and the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. I also wish to acknowledge the support of the Ministry of Planning and Development and the Ministry of Public Utilities in facilitating this innovative project in Trinidad and Tobago. The Quality for Sustainable Energy in the Caribbean project stands as a beacon of innovation and collaboration in our pursuit of a cleaner, more efficient energy future for the Caribbean region. And as we move forward, let us remain committed to the principles of sustainability, quality, and inclusivity, ensuring that every step we take leads us closer to a greener and more prosperous tomorrow. Together, let us continue to harness the power of partnership and innovation to create a legacy of sustainable energy for generations to come. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator the Honorable Paula Gopi-Schoon. I would now like to introduce Mr. Derek Omar to give us his remarks. Mr. Derek Omar is the Chief Executive Officer for the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality, CROSQ, headquarters in Barbados. CROSQ is the Regional Quality Infrastructure Development Institution founded by the 15 member states of the Caribbean Community. Mr. Omar is focusing on modernizing and accelerating the preparation, adoption, and application of regional standards, metrology, accreditation, and conformity assessment systems to increase trade, boost industrial efficiency and effectiveness, advance a quality-conscious culture among citizens, and further the cause of the CARICOM single market and economy. He was the past Executive Director of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards and the past Director of Export TT, the Occupational Safety and Health Agency in Trinidad and Tobago, COPANT, Pan American Standards Organization, and ASTM International USA. I now invite Mr. Derek Omar to bring his remarks.
Senator the Honorable Paula Gopi-Schoon, Minister of Trade and Industry, Chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, Mr. Lawford Dupree, and Mr. Ulf Celia, Head International Cooperation, Latin America and the Caribbean, PTB Germany, Chairman of CROSQ, Mr. Vernie Manuel, and other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols previously read being observed. Welcome and thank you for making time and effort to be with us here today. I wish to spend a portion of this morning focusing on the word efficiency, not only related to energy efficiency, but efficiency in general. Within the last 2 years, we at the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality, CROSQ, which is an amalgamation of the 15 bureaus of standards in the region working together, have spent quite a bit of time focusing on the word efficiency and with increased urgency. It has come to represent a major part of what all the bureaus seek to do both in the energy portfolio as well as in our general area of quality infrastructure development in the region. And in most of these cases, we believe we have made great strides in working together as an amalgamation of the 15 bureaus of standards to be more efficient, productive, and effective in what we do. And it is with partnerships such as we have with PTB and with other partnerships I'll mention in a short while that we have been able to grow over the last 10 years to where we are now. In the area of efficiency, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines efficiency as the quality or degree of being efficient. Note the use of the word quality, but it goes further to define an efficient operation as one that is measured by comparison of production with cost and the ratio of useful energy delivered by a dynamic system to the energy supplied into it. Meaning that we know that resources are scarce in the region, especially since COVID, and the bureaus have gotten together more and more over the last few years to try to be more efficient and effective of what they do. And thus, when we got involved in the area of energy efficiency development, both in the area of the development of the regional standards in energy efficiency over the last few years, as well as promoting and also investing in energy efficiency labs in the region, we've been very mindful that all the resources that have been put into these areas, we seek to get a stronger rate of return than normal from these investments. And I believe we stand here today with testimony of the closure of this Qsec project using 5 piloting member states. It's testimony to this because this is not a closing event, actually. This is an opening event where all the results that were displayed yesterday are going to be pumped into the other 10 member states who weren't part of the piloting project, but based upon the results that you've seen here over yesterday and that you'll see today, it's going to go into the other 10 member states and without a project too, which means that the bureaus of standards collectively and individually as CROSQ going to be putting these results outside there with our own resources and moving this into a very sustainable development program using the energy efficiency standards we developed over the last few years and promoting the use and functionality of the 2 centers of testing excellence in Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica as pivot points for this. And we will aim to succeed in the development and promotion of the project results into all member states over the next year or 2 using our own resources to so do so. So with our vast portfolio that spans 5 separate pillars of quality, efficient is what CROSQ has been striving to do, and efficiency is what it's going to be striving to more do in the future. And this is where energy efficiency is going to play a special important part for us. So as we deliver a quality service to our region by developing a dynamic system of support, as just explained, to all the member states. As you can imagine, with times being what they are, we've tried our best to meet the demand for quality infrastructure development collectively and individually in the member states. And there's been considerable demand for more quality infrastructure development as our companies seek to be more competitive in a contracting global economy. Take, for example, the requests we have been receiving from various member states for the hosting of quality management related workshops, especially for the SME sector and for firms in the food and non-food sectors who are looking to try to get certified to quality management systems as objective attestation of the quality that they produce in the Caribbean. Under our largest project with the European Union to date, which is called the 11th EDF Development Program, we have been taking interventions in quality infrastructure development into more than half of our CARICOM member states with very pleasing results. And again, efficiency has been the watchword for the development and delivery of these training programs in quality certification systems to the SME sector. And over the next few months, to the end of the year, we will be carrying this certification program to SMEs in all our member states. And this will complement the energy efficiency initiatives that have been in progress. Our sectors, particularly our business sectors, are realizing that to remain ahead of the game and even to stay in the game, they have to go the extra mile to think of how they can operate both smarter and more efficient. So we've been delving into the details of just how to do that. But we are here today to focus on the more specific areas of energy efficiency. And for sure, the micro, small, and medium enterprises aren't the only areas we've been able to see the need for energy efficiency and quality interventions. The energy sector, specifically the types of appliances that are coming into our region, are also of equal importance. We have heard the energy efficiency complaints, seen the frustrations, and with our particular specialities and partnerships, we've attempted to address these issues with the application of energy efficiency quality parameters to air conditions, refrigerations, and lights in the region. CROSQ's entry into the energy sector thus far has been with a focus on being efficient and energy efficient. Just as the businesses are looking to operate smarter and cut costs eventually by focusing on the quality actions, so too is the focus on energy efficiency initiatives, particularly our launching today of the CARICOM Energy Efficiency Labeling Program, which brings to closure the results of the Qsec project in 5 piloting member states that is allowing us to do that. But simultaneously, it's the opening up of these deliverables into the other 10 member states for the CARICOM Energy Efficiency Labeling Program. It's all homegrown, so to speak. We've created standards built for the region that are called CARICOM Regional Standards to test and label appliances, namely lighting, air conditions, and refrigeration products. And the entire region has been harmonized against that. We've built the testing infrastructure or helped to build the testing infrastructure for these appliances in the region against these CARICOM regional standards, with Jamaica taking the lead on energy efficiency testing in the area of air conditions and refrigerators, and Trinidad and Tobago on lighting. And we're so proud to say that we worked with those 2 bureaus to help their labs achieve international recognition for these set testing centers, as both of them are now accredited over the last year. And we've begun blending these quality procedures, these standards, these testing facilities into an amalgamated whole to help the other 10 member states promote and develop their energy efficiency programs in these appliances. And as we've been hearing yesterday, there's even been a call now to look at energy efficiency testing and standards in the areas of washing machines. And well, I'm sure dryer is going to be not too far behind that. The technical and project experts within the CROSQ Secretariat, as within the 5 piloting project member state countries of Belize, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados, have lived these experiences that we're going to start sharing with the other 10 member states after this meeting. And we really want to thank those 5 piloting member states for working so closely with the CROSQ Secretariat and PTB over the last 8 years to be where we are today, where we could share all the manuals, we could share all the testing logistics, and also the results on our regional database with them to further promote energy efficiency throughout the entire Caribbean. At today's session, we will discuss the sustainability of the CARICOM Energy Efficiency Labeling Program developed under the Qsec project, and how we're going to promote this into the 10 other member states using our own resources to do so over the next couple of years, and therefore make it really a sustainable heartbeat for the Caribbean. And we have produced a program that is still, even though it's still being stress tested, we're going to learn and evolve more as a region and together. Now, all this could not be done without PTB's cooperative vision for us that was developed about 8 years ago, and they have stuck with us through this entire endeavor. And for that, I would really like to thank Mr. Ulf Hilner for his unwavering support in leading PTB with us to this point in time. And on the road to where we are now, the CARICOM Secretariat, GIZ, the German Development Agency, the German government, as well as other regional institutions like what we call the 5 Cs in Belize and the Center for Renewable Energy in Barbados and Intertech from the USA, as well as others. They have worked strongly with us to be where we are in terms of promoting what you'll be seeing in a short while. So we'd like to really thank them. We'd also like to really welcome to our region Mr. Richard Taylor, who's the Director of Knowledge Services of British Standards Institute, who will be, like the Minister just said, partnering with us for more power and innovation. And we look forward to working with BSI as we move forward with a new partnership into the region in the area of quality infrastructure development in general. And Ricardo, you never know, maybe, you could help us promote our energy efficiency results here today to piggyback on that into the region too. So welcome British Standards Institute to be with us more as we move forward. And I say that because I would like to invite everybody who is with us this morning to stay with us for our workshop that we'll be conducting with the British Standards Institute after lunch, as to some ideas we can work on to develop a stronger relationship with them as they enter in the region and to continue these partnerships with the European Union, even though we know you unfortunately picked Brexit. But, you'll find a way to get you back in the system, working with Germany and others. And the European Union has been a strong partner with us, as you know, and continues to be as we move into a new post-Cotonou intervention era. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for attending today. We look forward to this day of activities to display how we're going to promote all the results from the Qsec project into an energy efficiency regime for the region in terms of using the CARICOM Energy Efficiency labeling program to do so. And thank you all very much, Minister. Thanks for being here, as well as Chairman Dupree.
Thank you, Mr. Omar. We will now accept remarks from Mr. Ulf Seller. He is joining us online. Good day, Mr. Seller. Mr. Ulf Seller is the head of section of International Cooperation for Latin America and the Caribbean for the PTB. He is a geologist by training and has over 25 years of experience in technical cooperation in the Caribbean region. He has spent over 10 years in coordination of and consulting on projects on quality infrastructure for the energy sector. And he is one of the principal persons involved in the design of the Qsec project. He is quite qualified to bring his remarks to us today. So we welcome online Mr. Ulf Seller.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much. Senator, the Honorable Paula Gopi-Schoon, Minister of Trade and Industry in Trinidad and Tobago, Lawford Dupree, Chairman of the Board of Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, Jose Trejo, Executive Director of TTBS, Derek Omar, CEO, CROSQ, and Vernon Emmanuel, Chairman of CROSQ, heads of National Standards Bureau on CARICOM and the Dominican Republic and their staff, colleagues from BSI and other international stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, invited guests. It's a pleasure and a great honor to accompany you today on the occasion of the closure of this project, and we have heard already a lot on the successes and the the results that have been achieved, and results achieved have been many. And in detail, we will hear later about these meaningful results. And I would like to take the privilege to highlight my personal favorite. I think one of the most emblematic achievements I find the establishment of the regional centers of excellence for testing energy efficiency of cooling devices in Jamaica and for lighting here in Trinidad. And I understand that yesterday you have witnessed what this is all about through the presentations of those centers of excellence. And why is this my favorite? And the elements of it have been mentioned already by the previous speakers. I think the core achievement here, that it's about building complementary capacities on a regional scale and sharing those existing resources. And why is this so important? I think if we want to answer the grand challenges that we are facing worldwide, there is just no other way than sharing those resources and building capacities that have been constructed complementarily. So if we want to advance in any ways, this is the way to go. And I think here the Caribbean has really shown how to go about it. And all the involved stakeholders have been contributing with a lot of knowledge and enthusiasm to build this, and be it from the National Bureau of Standards or stakeholders in the member states of CARICOM and Dominican Republics, or be it in the CROSQ Secretariat, the technical offices. They all have contributed to this achievement. And I think this is why this program we are closing now is so emblematic. And I fully agree with what Mr. Omar said, that although this is a closing, it is also opening at the same time, opening for the other member states to take advantage of the knowledge generated and the experiences gained so far. The other reason why these centers of excellences are one of my favorites is, okay, well, I work for the National Physics Laboratory, so it's about laboratories. This is why I like it a lot. No, but also the other achievements, which I said you will hear about later on, are emblematic, and to my understanding, they're also here to stay and to be developed further. Mr. Omar mentioned the efforts that are going on to support this spreading of this achievement and those knowledges. So let me conclude by thanking, first of all, thanking all the stakeholders involved, the project team who carried this project over the years, including this very difficult period of the COVID-19 pandemic, which posed some very specific challenges in the implementation. And some of the people have left institutions already, also at PTB, but still contributed and have left their mark. So I also want to thank especially our implementation partners in this endeavor. This is CROSQ of the CARICOM states and INDOCAL from Dominican Republic, and also other technical institutions from the region and beyond that have contributed with their knowledge and given ideas on how to develop this concept further. Last but not least, many thanks to our hosts today for hosting this event, Trinidad Bureau of Standards Director Jose Trejo and his team. Thanks a lot, and also my congratulations to all of you involved in the successful implementation of this project, and also for the trustful partnership that we have had during its implementation. And I think this is one key issue Mr. Omar also already mentioned, that without partnerships, it's impossible to encounter and to find solutions for the grand challenges we're facing. So I hope you keep enjoying hearing about this project and getting some inspirations also on the way forward, although this project is ending. And I hope you can also enjoy celebrating this milestone. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
We would like to thank Mr. Salia for his remarks. Our next presenter is Mr. Johan Regalado. Mr. Regalado, his full name is Johan Antonio Regalado Holguin. He is from INDOCAL and he is the Management System Certification Supervisor. He is an industrial engineer. He has a Bachelor of Laws, so he's an attorney with an interest in energy law. He has a bachelor's in modern languages, a master's in quality and productivity, a master's in high management with a major in operations. He's a certified quality engineer, certified Six Sigma Green Belt, a certified auditor in quality and energy management, anti-bribery and compliance. He's also an O member of ISO TC 301, the Technical Committee for Energy Management and Energy Management System. That's a lot. Wow. He has more than 10 years of experience in the Dominican Republic's energy sector, electrical sector, sorry, which is now part of the Ministry of Energy and Mines. He has been involved in projects related to energy, strategic management, planning, resource allocation, audits, and improvement plans. Additionally, he has conducted talks, workshops, and seminars that enabled disseminating important information on energy efficiency and the wider energy sector. He has contributed to the promotion of sustainable energy practices. And as a certified energy manager and auditor, he specializes in energy management standards, system standards, such as the ISO 50001. So on behalf of the Director General of INDOCAL, Lorenzo Ramirez, leadership responsibilities are extended towards the best interest of the project. Let us now hear from Mr. Regalado.
Yeah, good morning, ladies, gentlemen. It is an honor for me to be here in that Trinidad and Tobago, right, representing the Dominican Institute for Quality, INDOCAL, and by extension, the General Director, Engineer Lorenzo Ramirez. Our participation in this event is a testament to the commitment we share towards international cooperation and sustainable development within our vibrant Caribbean region. I would like to highlight, really, to thank also all of the members here present, right? CROSQ, Chairman, Mr. Derek Omar, right? Also, the Minister of Trade and Commerce, and so summing up, the rest of all of the members present in here, I extend my gratitude on behalf of INDOCAL. The QSCC project is a clear example of how collaboration and knowledge exchange can lead to significant advances in quality and environmental sustainability. This joint effort not only reflects our dedication to improving the lives of our citizens, but also underscores the importance of strengthening the bonds of friendship and cooperation between our nations. I want to take this opportunity to express my sincerest gratitude to the PTV. I think you all know what that stands for, right? Then for their unwavering support and invaluable contribution to the development of our region. The backing of PTV, commissioned by the German Ministry of International Cooperation, has allowed INDOCAL to expand our services in the meteorological field, especially in aspects of electrical sector. This gesture of generosity not only enhances our technical capacity, but also symbolizes the solidarity and mutual support that characterize our international relations. This support brings us one step closer to our common goal of excellence and quality. At INDOCAL, Instituto Dominicano para la Calidad, Dominican Institute for Quality, we firmly believe that we have much more that unites us than what separates us. Our languages and cultures, rich and diverse, are sources of strength and mutual learning. We are committed to keeping our doors open for the exchange of information, ideas, and technical training in order to support development and prosperity in all areas that need empowerment within our region. In conclusion, I want to reaffirm our gratitude to everyone involved in the QSEC project for their collaboration and support. Together, we are building a brighter future for the Caribbean based on friendship, mutual support, and cooperation. I am confident that with joint efforts like this, we can overcome any challenge and achieve our shared goals of sustainable development and well-being for all our peoples. Thank you very much for your attention. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Regalado. Our Minister, Senator Paula Gopi-Schoon, will have to leave us now. She has some previous commitments, but if you can just bear with us for a minute, we would like to take a photo with the minister and the persons on stage.
Come on to the front. What do you like? What do you like?
We thank you for your indulgence. As you know, our politicians are hard at work, so they're very busy. So it's my great pleasure to announce our next speaker. She is Miss Sherry-Ann Farquharson, and she is the CROSQ capacity building and gender expert. In this role, Ms. Farquharson fuses her passion for the emergence of a Caribbean powered by a blue and green economy, with the opportunity to inspire the next generation of sustainability professionals through initiatives such as the CROSQ internship program and the development of the CARICOM Energy Knowledge Hub. Ms. Farquharson obtained a Master of Philosophy degree in physics from the University of the West Indies, Mona campus, having previously received a Bachelor of Science degree in electronics and physics from the same institution. Her research interests include renewable energy, sustainable transportation, and climate change, which has boded well for her during her many research and commercial projects. She is a certified energy manager and has completed training and certification in solar PV installation. Ms. Farquharson is a member of the Jamaican Society of Energy Engineers, JC, the Council for Women in Energy and Environmental Leadership, CWEL, and the Global Women's Network for the Energy Transition, WNET. We now welcome Ms. Sherry-Ann Farquharson to deliver her presentation.
With all the protocols that have already been observed, I'd like to say good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to represent the Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency here today, and in particular, our chairman and interim executive director, Dr. James Fletcher. Since this decree is relatively new, I'll just share a few pointers about the center. We were institutionalized in May 2018 and we're headquartered in Barbados. And we were operationalized as a regional implementation hub for sustainable energy with a mandate to support the energy transition and to make sure that we have resilient future energy systems at the regional and national levels. So that's a little bit about the CRE. Economic growth in the Caribbean has closely been linked with energy consumption, and better access to energy has enabled improvements in the lives of our people. However, we are primarily a fossil fueled region. We've built our lives around the supply of fossil fuels. So we have centralized power plants that are powered by fossil fuels, and we're used to going to the gas station to fuel our cars. That's how we've designed our communities. However, as a region, we have plans to make a transition and to make better use of our indigenous resources. The regional target is that by 2027, which is not far from now, we would hope to be at 47% renewables across the region. The graph that you're looking at shows as of 2021 where the individual member states would have been. And collectively, that gives us an average of just over 10%. And we're aiming to get to 47% in a few years' time. In 2008, the Caribbean community commissioned the Caribbean Sustainable Energy Roadmap and Strategy, that's the CSERMS, and that strategy is now being used to guide and encourage and to expedite the implementation of the CARICOM energy policy by providing member states with joint regional sustainable energy targets and initiatives. Now, we've set these targets to 1, reduce the impact of the price shocks based on the significant amount of fossil fuels that are in our region, and then we are subjected to those external price shocks, to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and make better use of our indigenous resources to shore up our energy security, and to lessen the amount of GDP that is spent on energy. I recognize that that may not necessarily be the case in all of our member states, particularly given where we are today. However, based on the climate commitments that we've made as a region, then there is that need for us to make a transition. So what does this transition look like? With the current technological advances, the traditional electricity grid is being transformed. So we're moving away from the centralized electricity supply and that once linear one-way delivery of energy where it's going from the power plant to our homes. And we're seeing a more dynamic grid that is emerging with multi-directional flows. So flows from the grid to homes, from homes to the grid, from the grid to cars, and we are also exploring looking from the vehicles going back to the grid. What we've recognized though, as we look at the changes in the supply side, the changes on the demand side of our grids as temperatures go up and we're using more energy for cooling, and we're seeing the changes with transportation systems. Modernizing our grid is definitely going to be important. Education and training to ensure that we have the workforce to sustainably support the transitioning sector is another key that we have to focus on. But we have to make sure that as we're making these changes, that we're doing this efficiently. And so the regional energy efficiency strategy was developed to support the implementation of energy efficiency applications. Energy efficiency is one of the lower hanging fruits generally in the energy transition and reducing our demand for fossil fuels in general and for energy overall. So if we're going to be making this transition, there are a few requirements to ensure that it is done sustainably. It needs to be affordable, fit for purpose, reliable, provide a return on investment so that we can get everyone on board. It needs to produce the expected output and to keep people safe. So to effectively facilitate this move from the high percentage of fossil fuels to cleaner energy, we must ensure that the people of the region have confidence in the technologies that we're proposing. I'll share an experience with living in a community that had solar water heaters that were sold with all of the houses. Those solar water heaters, that particular brand was defective. And what I would hear my neighbors say is solar water heaters don't work, as opposed to recognizing that there is an issue with this particular brand. And so we have to ensure that the policies, the regulations, the quality infrastructure is in place so that consumers can have that confidence as we make this transition, particularly when we begin introducing new technologies. So I'll now take us through some of what has already been done and some of what we at the center, along with the CARICOM Secretariat, are proposing. So I'll start with quality infrastructure for buildings. And I know there are several of you here who probably know more about this than I do, having actually worked on the CARICOM Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code. But the Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code and the performance standards for buildings was to address opportunities within the residential, public, commercial, the tourism sectors to ensure that the role of energy efficiency in buildings is prioritized. Buildings account for a significant amount of the energy consumption. Residential and commercial sectors can account for 20 or up to even 50% of the electricity consumed in some of our member states. So while there are several existing technologies and measures that allow building sector to be more energy efficient, in the absence of effective policies and the supporting legislations, the potential for improvements in energy efficiency will continue to remain unrealized. And so the Regional Energy Efficiency Building Code was approved by COTED in 2018, and the code establishes minimum energy efficiency requirements for building, including the building envelope, cooling system, ventilation, pumping, lighting, and water heating systems. And this has already been adopted, though not legislated, in several of our member states. And then quality infrastructure for appliances. I don't really need to spend much time on this slide, given all that we heard yesterday and this morning. But the minimum energy performance standards for refrigerating, lighting, and air conditioning having been established, the centers of excellence having been operationalized, and the pilot project complete, and we're seeing now the rollout to the other member states. So that is ensuring that as we're introducing appliances into the market, that we have the confidence that these appliances will perform as expected for our region. And we have seen where these standards have already been adopted in the piloting countries, and we're looking forward to the further rollout. Now, having efficient energy products is one side of the market. The efficient use of energy is the next step. And as an energy manager, being in a room of a particular temperature gives me a little bit of pause, because we have to make sure that while we are seeking to have efficient cooling systems, that we actually use the cooling system by setting reasonable set points, making sure our lighting levels are where they should be. And so the energy management and the standards around energy management and adopting those standards is another key that we're proposing that we look at seriously as a region. Now, despite the well-recognized potential for and the steps to promote energy efficiency applications, we've seen in general that progress has been slow. And so together with the Caribbean Development Bank and the Secretariat, we have piloted what is known as the Integrated Utility Services Model. And this is a utility-centric ESCO or energy service company, where the utility would take on the role of supplying the energy efficient equipment, conducting the audits, not necessarily themselves, but managing the process with trained professionals, putting in distributed energy resources where there may be interest or requirement, and then persons would pay back for those equipment and services over time on their electricity bill, and also based on the energy that they would have saved from implementing the different recommendations that would have come out of an energy audit. And so the integrated utility service model is intended to support the regional energy efficiency strategy as an implementation measure for demand side management, energy efficiency, and distributed energy resources. Next, I'll look at quality infrastructure for sustainable transportation. And I've said sustainable transportation because oftentimes we focus on electric vehicles, but it does go beyond just the implementation of EVs. Within a majority of our member states, transportation sector consumes the lion's share of the energy that is supplied. It can range from 30% to up to 70% of the fuel that's used in some of our member states. And so the promotion of electric light duty hybrid vehicles or full electric vehicles led to the regional electric vehicle strategy, which has sub-policies for the different member states to guide the implementation of electric vehicles, recognizing as well that if you're increasing your electricity consumption for transport, that is going to have an impact on the electric grid. So ensuring that that is sustainably done. And we also know that several of our member states, including Trinidad and Tobago, have an interest in hydrogen, not just for industry, but for transport. We're seeing CNG being used in some of our member states. And so we have to ensure that the quality infrastructure is there, particularly when we're dealing with new technologies, so that we continue to build and maintain consumer confidence, recognizing that or regular gas or diesel vehicles perform, I mean, they're very inefficient, but we're used to how well they can perform. So if you're going to be moving to something else, that we do that in a way that will allow our consumers to continue to buy in to this energy transition. Quality infrastructure for small distributed renewable energy technologies. We recognize that as persons want to participate in the transition in their homes, in their businesses, that you're going to find persons going out buying their solar PV systems with the batteries to support. And so I did a quick search when I was preparing, just went on Amazon just to see what the prices of solar modules could look like. And there was a wide range of prices coming up, with also a wide range of specifications, and I can imagine a wide range of performance. And so it is crucial that we have those standards set for the region, so that we know that whatever is coming into the region will in fact perform in the way that we would intend. And so I'll wrap up with a few takeaways. The region is seeking to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels by making better use of indigenous sources of energy. So traditionally, we've used hydropower, we've used bioenergy and solar and wind, but we want to ensure that as we're exploring all of the other options, that we are able to do this in a way that benefits our member states. financially, environmentally, and definitely benefits the development of our people. There is a high and largely unexploited energy efficiency potential across the region, which sparked the development of the Regional Energy Efficiency Strategy, and the Qsec project came out of this regional strategy for CARICOM member states. And we've seen sub policies in terms of the Energy Efficiency Building Code, the Minimum Performance Standard for Appliances, and the Framework Regional Electric Vehicle Strategy also coming out of that Regional Energy Efficiency Strategy. The integrated utility services model, that utility-centric driven energy services model, which is intended to support the regional energy efficiency strategy, can be used as an implementation mechanism for demand-side renewable energy, energy efficiency, and other distributed energy resource projects, taking away the overhead costs, which is often prohibited for some of our companies and individuals to participate in the energy transition. The transport sector, which is the largest energy consumer of energy and has a history of neglected energy efficiency, there is the opportunity to establish minimum performance standards for sustainable transport technologies, as well as efficiency of traditional internal combustion engines or ICE vehicles. And we also see the need for minimum performance standards for small distributed energy technologies. And in closing, building confidence in the energy transition requires robust quality infrastructure so that governments may make informed policy and legislative decisions. We may avoid the pitfalls of becoming a dumping ground for substandard equipment, encourage investment by individuals and businesses, and very importantly, get it right the first time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ferguson. That was a very informative presentation. Next, we are going to hear about the achievements of the Qsec project. And we are going to hear from two ladies, Ms. Leah Spindleman and Ms. Marsha Denny. Leah Spindleman is a project coordinator at the Department for International Cooperation for Latin America and the Caribbean for the German Metrology Institute, PTB. She holds an MA in International Development Studies and took over the coordination of the Qsec project at PTB in 2022 and has since supported the implementation of the project together with her colleague, Victoria Huezo. Marsha Denny is the project coordinator, resource mobilization and program development at CROSQ. She holds a master's degree in public sector management and a bachelor's degree in international relations. Her responsibilities at CROSQ include technical assistance and donor funding. She leads and supports diverse projects aimed at enhancing the quality infrastructure at both the national and regional levels and bolstering the competitiveness of the Caribbean region. She is CROSQ's project coordinator for the Qsec project since July 2024. I now welcome these two ladies to the stage to discuss the achievements of the Qsec project.
Thank you, Ms. Abbas. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, protocols observed. So we're now going to give you a full recap of the achievements of this project. You would have heard a lot about it, but we're hoping at the end of it all, you'll now be passionate as we are and excited as we are about the project which has ended and now the start of our program across all our member states. So both of us, Leah and I, will present on these 9 achievements, and then we'll go into the challenges and success factors and the for the implementation of the program. Okay, so I'll lead first and Leah will take over. So the first is our labeling standards that were implemented, and you're aware that there were 3 standards, one for air conditioners, one for refrigerators, and one for lighting products. They were established between 2018 and 2019, and these are they for the 3 member states. As you can see from the labels, these labels is BSJ. So for each label, it will have the CARICOM logo, and it will also have, the CROSQ logo, and then it will also have the logo for the various CARICOM standards bodies in the member states. So the logos will be different as it relates to the logos from the standards bodies from the member states. The next aspect is the operationalization of the energy efficiency labeling program. So under the R3E, which you heard about yesterday, we would have laid the foundation. So what Qsec was principally about was just making that program now operationalized. And this was done through piloting member states. The first 4, which was Barbados, Belize, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and then Barbados came later. And of course, Jamaica, of course. And then later on, from the beginning, Dominican Republic has also been involved. So in terms of the member states and where they are in terms of the program, it's voluntary in Barbados in terms of refrigerators and air conditioners. But for light sources, what they have done, they have a law which came out in July 2023, where the sale of lamps with less than 40 lumens is prohibited. And for Belize, it's voluntary for all 3 products. For Jamaica, for all 3, it's compulsory, and their program has been compulsory for a few years. And for St. Lucia, it's voluntary. We would have heard from the panel discussion yesterday. And for Trinidad and Tobago, it's all voluntary, but they have been looking at making it compulsory sometime in the near future. So we're looking forward to that transition. And in terms of the next deliverable have been the model guide and the national procedures manual. So simultaneously, these 2 documents were developed. So the process started in April 2021 and ended in December 2023. So the regional model guide, it gives the guidance for the region. So for all member states, they can use this document to develop their national procedures manual. And the 5 countries have started the process already by developing their manuals. So as a non-piloting member states, you have a really great template to use to just customize for your countries. You don't have to start from the beginning. And these are the documents which will be handed over as the next item in our program. And for the accrediting testing services, you heard about the 2 laboratories are accredited. The project supported these laboratories in terms of equipment, training, and interlab comparisons, which is just done to ensure that the results are accurate. It's very important that these laboratories present results that are accurate and we can confirm that they are indeed so. And then the accreditation of the lab in Jamaica by the Jamaica National Accreditation Agency, that was done in 2022, and they have since been reaccredited. And in terms of TTBS, we also provided them with equipment to build their capacity and with also technical training, similar and intercomparisons, which I just indicated are very critical. And they were accredited by an organization out of the USA in 2023. And now I'll hand over to Leah to continue.
Thanks, Marsha. Yeah, let me continue with the database. Testing results can now be shared through a regional database. And for those of you who attended yesterday's sessions, you already had the chance to take a look at the database. For the other ones, let me just recap that the idea behind it is to have a regional platform where testing results for appliances tested in the regional centers of excellence are made available. So under the Qsec project, such a database managed by CROSQ was developed based on benchmarking from other jurisdictions. Users were trained and user manuals were developed. And the obvious benefit of this is improved accessibility of testing data for the relevant authorities throughout the region. But we hope that once it's populated with more testing data, it will also permit consumers to easily find and compare appliances and their energy efficiency performance. So the next result of the project, impact studies to sensitize decision makers about the potential benefits of the program. These impact studies were developed with Estudios Energéticos Consultores, a consultant company on energy from Uruguay. And they analyze or predict or estimate the potential impacts of the introduction of energy policies, such as the labeling and minimum energy performance standards. So it's an ex-ante impact study. It establishes a baseline based on country-specific data from Belize, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Dominican Republic, and then predicts mid and long-term energy savings, avoided greenhouse gas emissions, and consumer cost savings. The main finding is that the implementation of energy efficiency programs is cost-effective and at both the macro and the micro level. So when you look at the countries, but also when you look at the consumer savings. And what is interesting, especially for the non-piloting countries, is that the impact study introduces a flexible modeling tool. So, and we have like country-specific data that can be entered into an Excel-based tool. The tool then makes the impact analysis for that country, and the study can be extended to your countries as you move along and maybe implement. So in terms of sensitization and promotional materials, we produced a lot of materials targeting a broader public. The sensitization campaign is headed by the CROSQ Marketing, Information, Knowledge Management and Education, the MIC committee. And it's aimed at promoting the labeling program and ultimately consumer engagement. So we have materials such as posters, banners, also social media content, a jingle, which I like a lot. They were developed with help also from the Qsec project, which is GIZ project from another German technical assistance agency. And all these materials are available through the CROSQ Energy Information Portal, and they can be distributed in the countries at a time that's suitable, like aligned with the rollout of the program. We had a series of events aimed at strengthening relevant authorities' capacities for implementing the program. So who are relevant authorities? That depends on the countries, of course, but we have the standard bureaus, ministries, other regulating authorities, customs, maybe consumer protection. We've had a presentation of the impact studies that I just mentioned. In INDOCAL, it was to the ministry, in the Dominican Republic to INDOCAL and to the ministry responsible for energy. And in the CARICOM, we've had a webinar with over 90 participants from the region. We've had training on monitoring, verification, and enforcement aspects of the program, for which there was a first part for decision makers, and then a second part more in-depth for technical personnel from CROSQ, from the standard bureaus. We've had database training for the technical staff that would be dealing with the database. We've had a regional workshop for the revision of our national procedures manuals. And we've had a virtual border control webinar that was actually conducted by the piloting countries at the end of last year. So all the materials that were developed, presentations, maybe recordings, are available on the CROSQ Energy website. You can check the download area there for more information. And complementing all these events, there were also a series of national stakeholder engagement events, which would be hosted by the standard bureaus in the countries individually. So who else to be sensitized? Of course, the ones that have actually contact with the end consumers in the shop, retailers, sales staff. We've had a webinar with 150 participants in total, a series of webinars to equip sales staff with the necessary knowledge and skills to effectively communicate the value of energy labels, and educate consumers on the information that the label provides. And this was in the middle of last year, but we also have a training manual designed and published. We have the recording of the training. So this allows for continued training when there's new sales staff, when new countries enter, and just also to refresh the memories of those who might have gotten the training already. Yeah, so these are our main results. Now I would like to talk a little bit about challenges and lessons learned. And again, those who attended yesterday's session, this is more of a recap really of what we heard in the panel discussion, where participants from the piloting countries discussed their experiences. But one challenge that we experienced was low responsiveness of local stakeholders in a voluntary scheme. So the representative from St. Lucia would have mentioned this, and he highlighted that that it's really important to transition to a mandatory scheme, which is something that we would also recommend, given that it's important to have at least the perspective that it would someday turn mandatory to really encourage and engage the retailers, importers, producers to participate. Then a second challenge that we encountered was the difficulty of logistics. We also discussed this yesterday, the difficulty just of sending the appliances to the testing laboratories and maybe back. As a lesson learned, we see the importance of close coordination with customs from the beginning, also in the development of the national procedures manuals. From the project, we supported a test run for logistics. So bulbs were transported from Jamaica, from Barbados to Trinidad, and from Trinidad an air conditioning unit to Jamaica, just to gain more information about the possible pitfalls with customs, with logistics. So yeah, and maybe one aspect from yesterday's discussion, working with the manufacturers so they can send their equipment for testing directly to the laboratories. It would also be one way of overcoming this difficulty. The last challenge I'd like to mention is that we had a delay in operationalizing the database. Several factors contributed to this, but it's just a lesson learned for similar tools, like similar initiatives, maybe in another context. Timely testing and adapting is really crucial for bug fixing, for testing the usability, because the development of the database takes time. And yeah, as I come to an end of the presentation, I'd like to highlight a few of the success factors that we would like to recommend non-piloting countries to take into consideration. The first thing that really helped us with implementing this project were the national focal points. So a big thank you to all of you. They were crucial for the coordination. They were our main contact points in the countries, and with their dedication and of course with the support from the superiors as well, they really brought the program forward in every step. Then next we would like to highlight again the stakeholder involvement and the engagement from the beginning. This is crucial. And regional exchange and regional coordination through CROSQ. I think the coordination aspect would get like maybe even bigger now that we move into the future and the project ends. And the regional exchange, we've achieved that, I think, mainly in the focal point meetings where experience were shared. We had joint discussions on the challenges that the countries experienced, and we got to benefit from best practices that were developed in the country. So I think the regional exchange aspect really helped us, as well as benchmarking of other jurisdictions, not only inside the region, but also below, above, with, for example, the database where we looked at how other regions, other countries solve that. Okay, and with that, we are at the end of our presentation. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Denny and Ms. Spindleman. We're going to have a little change now. Instead of the remarks, we're going to have some special presentations. And these are symbolic handing over of the documents that were produced during the project. So we'll start in the regional realm, and we'll have a handing over of the regional model guide. And for this, I will ask Mr. Vern Emanuel, the chairman of CROSQ, and Mr. Derek Omar, the CEO of CROSQ, to please take center stage. The regional model guide, the regional model guide provides the framework for non-piloting countries to develop their national procedures manual. And I will ask Mr. Emanuel to accept this guide from Mr. Omar, the CEO of CROSQ. Would you two stay there, please? Next, we'll have the symbolic handing over of the impact study. This is the impact study on the expected impact of the introduction and implementation of the energy efficiency labeling scheme on Belize, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, gentlemen. I will ask Mr. Johan Regalado and Ms. Leah Spindleman to please take center stage. And here we will have the handing over of the impact study for the Dominican Republic. Okay, I will please ask Mr. Fabian Scott and Mr. Hayden Ryan to take the stage. And here we have the handing over of the National Procedure Manual for Barbados. This manual describes the country's procedure for the implementation of the energy efficiency labeling scheme. I will symbolically ask Mr. Fabian Scott to hand over two manuals as a Qsec focal point. One is for Mr. Ryan, who is the acting director of BNSI, and the other copy is for the regulator, which in Barbados is the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Thank you. Okay, may I have Mr. Lloyd Orellano and Mrs. Samantha Banner to the stage, please? And here we will have the symbolic handing over of the National Procedure Manual for Belize. Mr. Orellano, as the Qsec focal point, will hand the National Procedure Manual to Mrs. Samantha Banner, the Acting Executive Director of the Belize Bureau of Standards. Okay, next we will ask 4 persons to come forward from Jamaica. Nigel Davis, Hanson Hunter, Dr. Larice Edwards Brown, and Dr. Wendell Richards. We will have the handing over of the National Procedure Manual for Jamaica. But in Jamaica, the Bureau of Standards is a separate company from the regulator. So we will have 2 handing overs. First of all, Nigel. First, we will have the handing over of Mr. Nigel Davis, the Qsec focal point, to Mr. Hanson Hunter, who is representing the Executive Director of BSG, Dr. Velton Gooden. Next, I will ask Dr. Wendell Richards from the Qsec focal point to hand over the manual to Dr. Larice Edwards Brown, the CEO of the Jamaican National Compliance and Regulatory Authority. Next, we will have St. Lucia, and I ask Mr. Hubert Reynolds to come on stage with Mr. Vern Emmanuel. So here we will have Mr. Hubert Reynolds, the Qsec focal point representative, to hand over to the Executive Director of St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, Mr. Vern Emmanuel. And last, but by no means least, we will have Trinidad. And I would ask Mr. Jose Trejo and Mr. Lawford Dupree to please come on center stage. Mr. Jose Trejo, the Executive Director of TTBS, will be handing over to Mr. Lawford Dupree, the Chairman of the TTBS. Next, I will invite Ms. Marsha Denny to the podium, where she will be presiding over the handing over of the certificates. Ms. Denny.
Thank you. So first, we'll start with the certificates of appreciation to the national institutions that were involved in the piloting of the program. So first, we'll call Mr. Hayden Ryan to receive his certificate for Barbados, for the Barbados National Standards Institution. And he will actually collect two certificates. He will collect one for the Barbados National Standards Institution, and then another for the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs on behalf of Mr. Bertram Johnson, who is unavoidably absent. Next we'll have Belize, Mrs. Samantha Bano, who will collect on behalf of the Belize Bureau of Standards. Next, we'll have the Dominican Republic and Mr. Regalado, who will collect on behalf of INDOCAL. And next we have Jamaica. First, Mr. Hunston Hunter, who will collect on behalf of Dr. Velton Gooden, the Executive Director for the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. And Dr. Laurice Edwards Brown, who will collect on behalf of the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority in Jamaica. Yes. And next we'll have the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, Mr. Vern Emmanuel. And these certificates of appreciation are very, very significant. They're not just a piece of paper. They're for the 8 long years of really dedicated and committed work that these institutions have put in place so that we have a program which has been successfully piloted and now we're ready to roll out to the rest of the region. So we're really grateful for their tremendous work, the many long hours and the trials and tribulations, but also the gratifications that Dr. Wendell Edwards spoke about yesterday. So finally, but of course not least, we have Mr. Jose Trejo, who will accept on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. So now, having recognized the institutions for their stellar work, we're also recognizing the people. So now we're going to have people coming up because there were people behind these institutions. The institutions are not just stone, they're made of people. So first, we'll keep the same order of alphabetical for the countries. So we'll start with Mr. Fabian Scott from Barbados. These persons are the focal point representatives that we spoke about and how critical it is to the success of the program. Mrs. Samantha Bano. And next would be who will collect for herself and also for one of her staff. Mrs. Samantha Banner, and Mrs. Banner is also collecting for Mr. Rodolfo Gutierrez, who gave tremendous work, but he's no longer at the Bureau. He would have retired to another phase of his life. But we're really grateful for his contribution. And next for Belize, we have Mr. Lloyd Oriano. And for the Dominican Republic, we have Mr. Carlos Acosta Peña. And for Jamaica, we have Dr. Wendell Edwards first. Then we'll have Miss Tanisha Mattis. And they're both from the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority. Then we'll have Mr. Hunston Hunter, and he will collect for himself and also for Mr. Richard Venner, who works in the laboratory at the Bureau of Standards, Jamaica. This is Mr. Hunston Hunter. And he'll collect from Mr. Richard Venner, who works in the Energy Efficiency Testing Laboratory. And Mr. Nigel Davids, he's the head of the lab at the Bureau of Standards Jamaica Energy Efficiency Testing Laboratory. For St. Lucia, we have Mr. Hubert Reynolds. And Mr. Reynolds will also collect on behalf of Sheena Rosary from St. Lucia. And for Trinidad and Tobago, we have 3 persons, Ms. Renee Abbas, then we'll have Mr. Clenworth Jones, and then Mr. Dudnat Singh. Mr. Clenworth Jones is from the regulatory side, the implementation division, and Mr. Singh is head of the laboratory, Energy Efficiency Lighting Laboratory. And finally, our final group, very critical persons in this process from the regional level. We have persons from the CROSQ Secretariat, Ms. Latoya Burnham, Yes, she's our communications person, very stellar work as it relates to all this promotional material, the communications, the messages. It's been a long journey and she has really supported that. The covers for the National Procedural Manual should have coordinated all of that and all the other documents that were handed over. And the education system, so it's been. Next, we'll have Mr. Stephen Farquharson. He's the technical officer for standards development. So standards are a foundation for conformity assessment. Sorry, but he was did stellar work in the standards area, and he's the technical officer for accreditation and conformity assessment. Yes, our technical officer for standards is Mr. Fulgensen Pre, who is not with us physically today. And then next we'll have Mr. Nicole Best, who is our technical officer for metrology. And he was the interim project coordinator between the first coordinator for Qsec and me. So he handed over to me and he did a really great job for the few months. And he will collect on behalf of Janice Hilaire, his predecessor. So there ends our certificates of appreciation. We thank you all very much for all the work you've done, and we thank you in advance for the great work we will be doing as we assist the other 10 member states to roll out their programs in their countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marsha. It's very nice to show appreciation for all of the people that have been behind the success of this particular program. Let's give a round of applause for Marsha Denny as well. Now we would like to have the vote of thanks, and this will be delivered by Mr. Jose Eduardo Trejo, the Executive Director of the TTBS. Mr. Trejo is a Belizean national and has spent the last 22 years as a public service officer serving the people of Belize. Prior to joining the service, he worked at the Central Bank of Belize as an economist, having direct responsibility for the compilation of Belize balance of payments statistics. Throughout his career, he has worked with several government ministries. These include the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, Trade, Commerce and Industry, Finance, Economic Development, and most recently, Agriculture, Food and Security and Enterprise. During the period 2015 to 2017, he has served as the chairman and coordinator of CROSQ, headquartered in Barbados, and the sub-regional Central American CAMET grouping of the Inter-American Metrology System. Mr. Trejo previously served as the director of the Belize Bureau of Standards during the period 2007 to 2023. In February of 2023, he assumed duty as the executive director at the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, and we now invite him to give the vote of thanks. Mr. Trejo.
Good afternoon, protocols observed. As we gathered here today, I am reminded of a quote by the writer Ernest Hemingway. And I quote, "It is good to have an end to journey toward, but it is the journey that matters in the end." I would like to think of this closure not as the end, as we've heard several times today, but as a milestone in our journey towards meeting the SDGs through energy efficient solutions. In reflecting on this journey, the Qsec project has brought together stakeholders from across the region and globe to work towards a common goal. Through collaboration, we have been able to leverage each other's strengths and resources, resulting in a more impactful and sustainable project. I extend my deepest appreciation to our esteemed guests, partners, and collaborators for all your support given through this endeavor. I thank the CROSQ Secretariat for their stewardship in addressing energy efficiency issues in assisting the region through the Qsec project. I was just sharing with the chairman that I started this project back home in Belize and came out on the other end in Trinidad. Furthermore, I extend my heartfelt thanks for the cooperation from the Instituto Dominicano para la Calidad INDOCAL and the PTB for your collaboration and expertise. Your commitment and dedication have been instrumental in the success of the Qsec project. I'd also like to acknowledge the Ministry of Planning and Development's Global Environmental Fund project, as well as the Public Sector Investment Program in renewable initiatives. Your funding and support have been pivotal in establishing the TTBS's Energy Efficiency Lighting Laboratory, the first of its kind in the region. Additionally, I want to express our gratitude to the Senator Honorable Paula Gopi-Schoon for her unwavering support to our mandate, as well as the Ministry of Public Utilities for their continued support and collaboration. Your commitment to promoting energy efficiency will undoubtedly steer Trinidad and Tobago forward to achieving the objectives of Vision 2030 and the National Environment Policy for prioritizing energy conservation and efficiency. Of course, none of this would have been possible, as you've witnessed just a short while ago, without the technicians, the standards officers, the researchers, and everyone who played a part in making this project a reality. My heartfelt appreciation to each of you across all national standards bodies of the piloting countries for your dedication and commitment in this regard. Now, as we come to the close of what has been a journey that started some 10 years ago under the Regional Renewable Energy Efficiency R3 project and evolved into this Qsec project, I would like to highlight three takeaways. Firstly, the Qsec project has laid the groundwork for a robust quality infrastructure in the region. It has strengthened the technical capabilities of regional centers of excellence for energy efficiency testing at the Bureau of Standards Jamaica and TTBS. This has not only enhanced our ability to test and certify energy efficient products, but it will also empower local and regional businesses to innovate and compete in the global market. Secondly, the Qsec project has been instrumental in shaping our understanding of the challenges and opportunities in the energy efficiency landscape. Through this project, we have gained valuable insights into the importance of standards, testing, and certification in promoting sustainable development and consumer protection. The Qsec project has thus emphasized the need for continuous monitoring and evaluation through impact studies and the sharing of testing results through a regional database. We will be able to assess the effectiveness of our interventions and make informed decisions for future projects. Finally, the Qsec project has highlighted the importance of education and awareness through sensitization and promotional materials, as well as educational training material for staff. We have been able to engage stakeholders and consumers alike, raising awareness about the benefits of energy efficiency. This will undoubtedly empower consumers to make informed choices and thus improve the standard of living in the region through reduction in energy costs. My last point would be to encourage the non-piloting countries to take the lessons learned over the years. Make it your own, but do know that the project has laid the foundation for you. Also know you are not alone on this journey. The waters have been crossed and a major part of the hard work has been done. And now I hope that the entire region will get on board on carrying on with the objectives of the Qsec project. On the home front, I want to assure you of Trinidad and Tobago's steadfast commitment to continue on this path to energy efficiency. Together, we can build a more sustainable and resilient future for our nation and the wider Caribbean region. In closing, let us continue to build on the foundation from the Qsec project and work together towards a more sustainable and prosperous future for all that is grounded on standards and quality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Trejo. As he said, we're not at the end, well, we are at the end of the project, but we're also at the beginning of something else. And that's the start of us going forward, taking in account the lessons learned and pressing to implement energy efficiency labeling. At this point, we will formally close, or we will close the formal aspect of today, but we will rejoin, we will break now, and we will rejoin at 11:30, 11:35, where we will have the next steps for the CARICOM Energy Efficiency Labeling Program. That's the beginning. Okay, so we will break